Not live. We are live. Cool. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. All right, let's see. We got chat. Everything's set up. Let's get this board view. All right, cool. Okay, Tim's here, of course. All right, let's see. Got everything. Flux stuff. Iron on. Hot air station. Something heavy. Okay. Looks good. Everything's fine. House is not on fire. All right, we can begin the stream. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Okay, so today we'll be working on a 1708. Has some liquid damage on it. Just going to be repairing it. Before I get started, just want to chill out our course. We are doing a MacBook. I suck at these things. We're doing a MacBook repair course. If you want to check us out, we have the link probably in the description. It is a course we teach you how to do logic board repair. It's not a beginner's course. It's pretty intermediate to advanced stuff. So if you are interested, feel free to check out the shop. So what we have today is a 1708. It's just not leak customer info. Just got the board itself. All right, overhead cam. All right, so we got a 1708 logic board. Has liquid damage. I'll show you in the microscope. We'll just go over it and then we'll fix it. All right. So the main issue with this board is it's not charging. And if you see over here, this is what the charge port looks like. Alright, so I'm just going to remove these little tabs so they don't get in the way when we hit it with the hot air gun. Alright, so on your screen you can see how the charge port looks like. There's no way that if you plug in, your 20-volt charger, it's going to work in the slightest. Again, I could try cleaning it off and see what it is, but it's most likely going to need replacing. So with some alcohol, I'm going to try to clean these pads up. You can see it doesn't even want to come off. I'm going to try scraping a little bit with my tweezers here. But as I do so, you can see that a hole is forming from all the carbon that this MacBook suffered from. So the more I scrape into it, you see the more ground is exposed, meaning that this charge port is not going to be usable in the slightest. Also, you see this pin is freely moving. This can, move around and probably short stuff on the board itself. So I'm going to be replacing this charge port today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to unscrew his SSD so it doesn't get any unnecessary heat when we apply it to the logic board. So usually just peel off the sticker. Nice. And we're going to grab our screwdriver, unscrew the two stuff. T5, where are you? There it is. Awesome. So how's everyone's day today? Alright, take that off. Put that to the side. Alright, first thing we do when we're removing a charge port, unfortunately, that it has a shield that needs to come off prior to repair. If I could just move my microscope, get in focus. I can't zoom out any more than I can. So to get to the charge port, I'm sorry everyone, I just hit the microphone on the microscope. This shield needs to come off. It is soldered onto the logic board. There's also some corrosion here that we will clean up as we go along. But the main issue is, I got to get the charge port working before I get the logic board working, because this is what supplies power to the system, and it looks like that. So first things first, we're going to peel off this sticker. It's not necessary, but I've learned the hard way that if you hit this with hot air, it smells like ass. So this sticker comes off, you know, just a little adhesive. Now what we're gonna do is douse this shield in flux. Best way to do so is I start from here and I work my way around. This means it'll get hotter quicker, and you know the solder would come right off. Get some here, all around the connector. All right, and now what I do for this part is I just grab something heavy. Lewis doesn't have anything here, so I'm just gonna use this bottle of screen cleaner. It just, when I'm lifting up this shield, now that this is holding it down, so when I lift up, the board doesn't move when I, you know, lift it up. Might need something heavier, actually. Maybe 2 Windex bottles. There we go. So back to the board. I like to start here. There's a little hole that your tweezers can fit through, either here or here. I like this part the most. So we're gonna get our hot air gun. I'm gonna heat up the area. Flux starts to melt. So I get my tweezer right in this hole. And I start hitting this side with my gun. And I wait for the flux to melt. Once that side's melted, I'll go around the shield completely. And I'm slowly lifting up as I'm heating this board. So once it starts to give out, I know that, you know, everything's melted. All right, it's starting to lift up. Now I get toward the end. Now that it's up a little bit, you can see. So yeah, it's up completely. I can just lift it up and peel it right off. Give it a few wiggles. And it's gone. So now with the shield removed, we can move on to the charge port side. And now that our charge port is now exposed, we can, you know, work on that area. So for this part, similar to what I just did, I'm going to apply some flux down this line so it gets hot easily and we can just remove it. Now I'll flip the board over because it lifts from this side. And I'm going to apply flux all across this line, and we're going to try to pull out that charge port altogether. So get some more flux. Now again, I'm going to put my weights back on the board. That way when I lift up, the board doesn't move when I lift it up. All right, so again, hot air. I'm going to heat the charge port. I'm going to pinch it with my tweezers and try to lift up. Now it's just going to lift up on its own as soon as the solder melts. So give it a few seconds of heat. All right, starting to budge. And it's off. Simple. So now with the charge port off, we now have to free up all these holes so our new charge port can get on. So now for this part, I'm going to add leaded solder because this unleaded stuff does not like to move at all. So we're going to grab our iron and heat up every single hole. Now I'm just going to put a butt ton of solder on here and just go through every single hole. Be sure not to touch the little caps and resistors on the side, otherwise you lose USB connectivity. Again, I learned that the hard way, and I've already done that, and I'll show you in a second what I just did. So you can see right here, these two resistors are touching. It's not the end of the world, I can always come back and fix it. But before I forget, I'm just gonna clear that up right now. There we go. Mistake cleared. Alright, back to the actual repair. Now these charge ports are not fun in the slightest. It is a real pain in the ass, and this is the only machine that does not have removable charge ports. You know, the 1706, 1707, they literally have ones that just unscrew. You put a new one on as you desire. This one you have to replace it, induce logic board repair. No one wants to do that. Alright, so now that all the holes are filled with leaded solder, we have the fun, joyous time of wicking them. And we gotta remove all of that leaded solder. So with our wick, just gonna go through every single hole. Some of them, most of them hopefully will just come off with ease. The other ones, because they're ground pins, they aren't as fun to remove. Also, I'm gonna be going through a lot of wicking because there is a lot of solder on this board. You can see my wick is already silver, as it's supposed to be, you know, like copper or bronze, whatever it's supposed to look like. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you how much wick I ended up using. So here's our first strip of wick that we just removed. Cut it off here. Into the pile it goes. Next strip of wick. Alright, now that we are actually having some holes getting cleared, that's a good sign. And I just gotta go through them one by one. Make sure all these holes are gone. Alright, next strip of wick. You can see again, completely silver, full of solder. You could always buy this wick from us, store.rossmove.com, with all your wicking needs. And there's going to be some parts that are just not fun. Yeah, just add more flux. Hopefully all this solder would go away. Next strip. And we're going to continuously do this until all the holes, or at least most of them, sometimes you can get away with like 2 or 3 holes being still filled. You can always just hot air it and the charge port would slide in. I'm going to try my best to get every single hole. Alright, that looks really good, actually. And we get our next strip. Cut that off. I forgot I have chat. I should be reading it. Let's see, didn't I get fired? Man. Oh, I'm not reading chat anymore. Alright, seems like we're halfway there, I think. Which is actually really successful. Usually I have like a hard time getting all these holes, you know, desoldered. It's really... They're being really cooperative today. I like it. It's like it knows my job's on the line right here. Oh, come on. As I say that. Come on. Hey. Also, if you are having trouble on one side, you can always flip it over and try that side. Maybe you'll have some luck. Which I'm going to do in a couple of seconds. Let me just get some attempts in. Alright, seems like I'm not getting anything anymore. So I'm going to flip this board over, and we're going to see what we have on this side. So you have these holes. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 out of like 60. I'll take it. Some flux down. Get some fresh wick. Cut our strip again. Doop. And start over. Nice, relaxing process. Alright, as I'm doing this, I'm also going to get these sides, because this is where the charge port lays on this board. So it is ideal to have all this area flat, so it doesn't have any like issues getting into the port. We've had times where we would put a port on and it wouldn't lay flat, and it was like intermittently working. Big headache, but it ended up just being the charge port slightly raised. Alright, so with all the sides clear, I think this is good enough for the charge port to lay. Now what I'm going to do, because we have all this burnt, nasty flux, I'm going to UC this section of the board just to remove the flux so we can put our new charge port on. So if you guys want to wait about 30 seconds to a minute, I'll be more than happy to continue the board repair. So I'll see you guys in about a minute or two. Quick intermission. Alright, we're back. And looks pretty okay. Let's see. Microscope. Now again, the board's wet, hot air, it's doused in alcohol, so it wouldn't really affect much. I did UC this section of the board too while I was in there. It doesn't look too bad, but I will touch up this resistor right here. Looks a little bad. But we'll get to that after we fix this charge port. So the UC, I probably pulled that out a little too early, didn't get rid of all the flux, or it's probably just melted on there too well. Just gonna brush off the rest. Alright, and as you can see, we still have a few holes. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of like 70. I take that as a win. So again, what we're gonna do is, as opposed to this port, which is on the machine, again, look how nasty it looks. We're gonna be replacing it with this one. Just way better looking. All the pins are intact, no damage. Slightly used, but you know, you can't buy this part new. They don't exist. Right to repair. Forward it out so we get these new parts. Alright, so the way this goes on is literally just plugs in. You know, if you ever had through-hole components, literally just line them up like this. A little trouble here. So if they were all wicked, you know, all these pins would just slide right in. But because they're not, I'm going to need to apply some force. But here's a way to do it. What I do is you turn the board over, you align this completely as is. Again, lined all the pins to the holes. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply some flux. Let's see how. All right, and then with your tweezers, you go underneath the board and on the pin, and you pinch it. Pinch it in place, like so. That way, when the remaining solder that's in there, since there's only like 6 pins that are filled with solder, they're gonna melt quickly. This thing is gonna squeeze right into place. And you can't really see it on my perspective, but from the sides, you'll see like the spacing just, completely be flush with the logic board itself. So I'm applying heat to the area, and in a few seconds, this board will be squished right into place. All right, that looks good. Let's hold it down for a second, let the solder harden. Okay, and then we're gonna see where we're at. All right, so if I can bring out my microscope. Jeez. We got a better view of this. You can see how it's not in there completely, but when I do this trick one more time, you're gonna see that this lay completely flat on the board. You can see the pins are still slightly raised. That's because I didn't hit it hard enough when it melted, but that's what we're gonna see in a couple seconds. So we're gonna try that trick one more time, but from this side. That way we can actively see this solder melt. So we're gonna add some flux. And again, I'm gonna put my tweezers in between the port and the board itself. Actually, can't do it with one hand. I have one hand on the hot air gun. All right, a good pinch like this. This is perfect. This is optimal, I guess. So grabbing it like this, make sure it don't move, otherwise you'll hit all those components on the side. So we're gonna heat it up from here, that way the solder melts. All right, solder's melting. Applying pressure onto the logic board. 3 more seconds of this, and I should be golden. 1, 2, 3. All right, you see the solder hardening, and we look at the board. All right, a little smoky, but we're still good. All right, now if we go back to the logic board, you can see that it is no longer sticking out. It is completely flush with the logic board. That means all the pins are in the holes. Everything is A-okay. So now the best part, why I like doing this repair, is I get to fill in all these holes with solder. And it is very entertaining and very satisfying. So, oh shoot, you see this? Aha. On mistake number 2. These guys are kissing. Resistors should not be touching. I'm gonna see if we can up. I just knocked the logic board, my fault. Where you guys are? Right here. Alright, we're gonna fix that. Come on. Come on. Alright, they don't want to budge. If they don't want to budge, I gotta make them budge. Need thinner tweezers. Alright, there we go. There we go. Awesome. No longer touching. Alright, now back to the actual repair. I'm gonna keep saying that. So we're gonna run some flux down the entire port. And watch me fill every hole individually. Grab our solder. And boop, you're filled. Boop, you're filled. Boop, you're filled. And we're just gonna fill every single hole. Run it down. And there we go. You can see every single solder point is filled, and this repair is on its way to be finished. And the next part was we were going to check out that corroded area. You see that resistor doesn't look too hot. Now, indication of a good resistor, for example, are these. You can see the legs. This bottom one doesn't look too bad. But this one, since the legs are completely darkened, you can, without a doubt, say that it's no longer good. And what I'm going to do is the tweezer test. Is you take a pair of tweezers and you give them a nice, like, love tap. If it moves, if it breaks off the board almost instantly, then it wasn't a good component. Now you can see this area is corroded. It wasn't making a very good connection to the logic board, and needs to be replaced. Add some flux. Give these pads some new life. Looking good. And while I'm at it, I'll touch these caps up too. Alright, that looks good. Touch you up and touch you up. Nice. Alright, and now we're just going to grab a donor board. If Lewis has one, he does. Let's go. Alright. And it is missing everything except the resistor that I need. Haha. So we're going to pull this resistor off. Yoink. Bring back our logic board. Solder melts a bit. I can move my tweezers. Now it's in place, and it will flow. Right there. Good as new. Alright, and now I have half a mind to plug this board in, but I just want to verify that everything is clean. I might have to UC this, because it doesn't look too bad. It looks a little sketchy, not to my liking, so I will UC this board after I am done with it. Around the board, see if anything else is corroded, anything that needs fixing. Oh, everything looking fine in this area. 342 ISL. Alright. Alright, so I do think that we should try turning this board on, see if it powers. Alright, now, does he have a USB-C ammeter laying around? Aha. Alright, where's the overhead cam? Bum bum. Alright, so sometimes when these charge ports do blow up, they also take out the CD3215 with it. That's why I want to plug it in to verify that that is not the case. So we're going to plug in this board. Kawizi. We got 5 volts. Turns to 20. 500 milliamps. This board looks like it is turning on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to plug it into the guy's housing. Now we can see that it is turning on and booting, yada yada yada. Wow. Just remove his label so I don't get him doxxed, and you know, yeah. Okay, so we have his housing. I'm gonna plug it in here. I'm gonna leave his SSD out so we don't get his name too. So we're going to plug everything back into the housing. Some wiggle room. Come on. Does not want to cooperate. There we go. Alright. Take the trackpad, battery cable, keyboard, and audio jack. Alright, everything on the board. I'm just going to plug in the essentials: screen, keyboard, and trackpad. That's all you really need to know. All you really need to plug in when, you know, just for test purposes. That's all we need. And we can open this guy's Mac. Oh, this is funny. This guy also has... Alright, so on his ticket it says loose keycaps. Let me demonstrate something for you guys. Does this look loose to you? Yeah, that's a pretty loose keyboard you got, buddy. Alright, back to the repair. We're gonna plug this in. We're gonna hold Option, that way we don't get a question mark folder. You can see like there would be image on screen, because usually question mark folder takes about a year and a half to show up. Just a little bit, about that much. Let's see, do we even have backlight on screen? There we go. So it is showing up, it is turning on. This guy really needs a keyboard replacement, like he's just come right off. Jeez. Alright, so repair, well done. I will do one more thing before I say this board is fixed, is we're going to put that shield that we removed back on. Also, I want to take one more look at all the caps in that area, because you guys saw that I messed them up twice. I just want to make sure I didn't do it a third time. This guy will also be getting a keyboard replacement for obvious reasons. Alright, so one more time, I'm going to look through all these caps. One time, I knocked off this array of 2 caps. Where are they? These 2. I knocked one of these off, and one of the ports was not getting USB 3. It trolled me for about an hour, because I already put the shield back on, so I would never have seen this. But, yeah, that was the issue when I took off the shield. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. So if I could find his old shield, I wonder where I... There it is, underneath my wick. Oh yeah, speaking of wick, this is how much wick we used for this repair. It is a hefty amount. Let me just clip off the one I've used too. So yeah, everyone welcome the wick grave. You all be missed. You served well. You fixed a MacBook. Alright, so we're going to put the shield back on. I don't really put on like all the solder points. I don't reflow anything, because again, this is a very delicate chip I don't want to damage. Also, these 2 underfill chips, they don't really like heat. And if you heat them up too much, you get no webcam. It's a real big pain in the butt. So what we like to do, or at least what I like to do, is I'll line this up with all the pads. I'll start off with this corner. I'll add some flux. Now again, this shield doesn't really serve a purpose. You know, water does seep through it. I mean, it has through holes. I mean, of course water is going to get right through it. It doesn't really do much. It's just for us to stop repairing the device, you know? So get this corner. Then we'll get the other corner. You should just get like maybe 3 to... Oh. Oh. This is why we use flux, ladies and gentlemen. Clean that right off. There we go. Oh. Whoa, I just lifted the entire shield. Okay. Stay. Oh, God. Oh, it's going downhill. It's fine. Flux will, you know, fix all that right up. Stop touching. Stop touching. Please stop. Okay, good. Luckily, all that was not connected, so we're fine in that regard. All right, so then we get this corner, and I guess we'll call it a day. There we go. Boom. Make sure none of that is touching. It is not. And the shield is back on. See, not moving. It's serving its purpose. And that's about it. Alright. Everyone, thank you guys for watching. You know, fixed this logic board. Pretty simple. Charge port replacement. And again, if you are interested in learning how to do board repair, you can try to join our class. Give us a call if you want to learn more. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day.